Negotiations of the European Union, and also with permission, in view of the fact that the October European Council is this week, I'll also review the progress of the 5 negotiating rounds since June. Now, whilst at times these negotiations have been tough, both Michel Barnier and I have acknowledged the new dynamic that has been created by the Prime Minister's speech in Florence. This momentum was maintained during November. Both negotiating teams continue to work constructively together. Since June, we have steadily developed our shared political objectives. Now, nevertheless, there is still some way to go to secure a new partnership, but I'm confident that we're on the right path. Mr. Speaker, I'll now take the House through each of the negotiating issues in turn. On citizens' rights, we've made further progress towards giving British citizens in the EU and EU 27 citizens in the UK the greatest possible legal certainty about the future. Now, in future, our legal orders will be distinct and different. Last week, we explored the ways in which we will make sure the rights we agree now will be enforced in a fair and equivalent way. We also explored ways in which we can fully implement the Withdrawal Treaty into UK law. That will give confidence to European citizens living in the UK that they'll be able to directly enforce their rights as set out in the agreement in UK courts. The two sides also discussed ways of ensuring consistent interpretation of our agreement. Now, although we've not yet arrived at a single model that will achieve this, we have explored a number of options. And we should also not lose sight of the fact that we've made significant progress in this area since June. We've reached agreement on the criteria for residence rights, the right to work and own a business, social security rights, rights for current family members, reciprocal healthcare rights, the rights of frontier workers, and the fact that the process for securing settled status in the UK will be streamlined and low cost. But of course, there are still some issues outstanding for both sides, including the right to continue to enjoy the recognition of professional qualifications, the right to vote in local elections, the right to onward movement as a UK citizen already resident in the EU 27, the right to return, the right to bring in future family members, and the right to export a range of benefits. Now, in many of these areas, it's a straightforward statement of fact that our proposals go further and provide more certainty than those of the Commission. We're trying to find, on both sides, I think, pragmatic solutions. And in the 4th round, we offered the guaranteed right of return for settled citizens in the UK in exchange for onward movement rights for British citizens currently living in the European Union. And we look forward to hearing the Commission's response on this offer. We haven't had it yet. Mr. Speaker, I recognise there has been some concern regarding the new system which European citizens will have to use to gain settled status in the United Kingdom. So last week I confirmed that while there will be a registration process, the administration process will be completely new, streamlined and importantly low cost. Furthermore, any EU citizen in the UK already in possession of a permanent residence card will be able to exchange it for settled status in a simple way. They'll not need to go through the full application process again. The tests associated with this process will be agreed and set out within the withdrawal agreement. As a result of our productive discussions, the Commission is also able to offer similar guarantees in return for those British citizens in the European Union. These clarifications on both sides have helped build further confidence. Now, this round also saw further detailed discussions on Northern Ireland and Ireland. In a significant step forward, we've developed joint principles on a continuation of the common travel area and associated rights. These joint principles will fully preserve the rights of UK and Irish nationals to live, work and study across these islands. They'll also protect the associated rights to public services and social security. To provide legal certainty, these principles recognise that the withdrawal agreement should formally acknowledge that the UK and Ireland will continue to be able to uphold and develop these bilateral arrangements. Our teams have also mapped out areas of cooperation that function on a north-south basis, and we have begun the detailed work to ensure this continues once the United Kingdom has left the European Union. We've also agreed a set of critical guiding principles to protect the Belfast or Good Friday Agreement in all its dimensions, and we're working on the necessary steps to make this a reality. And throughout this process, we have reaffirmed our commitment to the rights of the people of Northern Ireland to choose to be British or Irish or both as they choose. I've set out before our shared determination to tackle the unique circumstances of Northern Ireland by focusing on creative solutions, and we've begun to do so. But we cannot fully resolve these issues without also addressing our future relationship. As the Prime Minister said in her statement to this House last week, we owe it to the people of Northern Ireland, and indeed to everyone on the island of Ireland, to get this right. On the financial settlement, the discussions continued in the spirit fostered by the Prime Minister's significant statements in her Florence speech. The Prime Minister reassured our European partners they will not need to pay more or receive less over the remainder of the current budget plan as a result of our decision to leave. And she reiterated that the UK will honour commitments we have made during the period of our membership. Off the back of this, the September round we agreed to undertake a rigorous examination of the technical detail where we needed to reach a shared view. Now, this work has continued. It's not been a process of agreeing specific commitments. We've been clear that this can only come later. But it is an important step so that when the time comes, we'll be able to reach a political agreement. Finally, on separation issues, we've continued to work through the detail on a range of issues, particularly those areas relating purely to our withdrawal, such as nuclear safeguards, civil judicial cooperation, and privileges and immunities. Whilst we make good progress, we believe that the remaining issues in this sector are dependent on discussions in our future partnership. So we are ready and well prepared to start those discussions. So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, our aim remains to provide as much certainty as possible to businesses and citizens on both sides. I've made no secret of the fact that to fully provide that certainty, we must be able to talk about the future. We all have to recognise that we're reaching the limits of what we can achieve without consideration of the future relationship. The Prime Minister's speech in Florence set out the scale of our ambition for the new partnership with the European Union, and she also laid out the case for a simple, clear and time-limited period of implementation on current terms. At the European Council later this week, I hope the leaders of the 27 will recognise the progress made and provide Michel Barnier with a mandate to build on the momentum and spirit of cooperation we now have. Doing so will allow us to best achieve our joint objectives and move towards a deal that works for both the UK and the European Union. Mr. Speaker, there has been much discussion of what will constitute sufficient progress. Let me be clear that sufficient progress and the sequencing of negotiation has always been a European Union construct, not a UK one. Negotiations require both parties to not just engage constructively, but also to develop their positions in advance. For the UK's part, I've always been clear we'll be conducting these negotiations in a constructive and responsible way. We have been entirely reasonable in that. The work of our teams and the substantial progress we've made over the recent months proves that we're doing just that, and we're ready to move these negotiations on. I commend this statement to the House.